clubs you get in using my name. You think you broke my heart, oh girl, for goodness sake. You think I'm crying on my own, well I ain't.
Poor Divock. Guys, our own Divock had a rough night with the ladies. Rough Thursday night.
It was. That's a good song choice. It was rough. I would like to say it was rough with the ladies, but there were no ladies to be seen.
It was a typical Thursday night for Divock.
Typical Thursday night. It was tough. I was supposed to go on a date, and she ended up. My big mistake was we made these arrangements last night, and the big mistake was I didn't text her during the day to confirm things. That's the big mistake I made. And I got in the lift and I sent her a text, and they go, "Oh, we're still meeting, wherever, whatever." And she says, "When?" I'm like, "We're like at 8. Like that's where we're gonna meet." He's like, "Oh, I didn't hear from you all day." And I'm like, "Well, we remember we talked about it last night. Like, you got short-term memory loss, bitch? What's going on here?" So I didn't say that, but she just said, "Oh, my roommate had some issue, and I haven't seen her in a week," and it slipped my mind. Those words right there slipped my mind, or whatever. Like that was the dag. No, Divock does not slip anybody's mind. Everyone is thinking about Divock 24/7 because I'm thinking about Divock 24/7.
Right? I just want to reiterate that. Could there be a chance that you forgot to when you met this girl on Tinder? That you forgot to pay?
How do you fucking know it was Tinder? Why do you assume it was Tinder?
You forgot to pay $24.99 for her webcam that she offered her link to.
That was my big. I mean, the site looked legit, which is the thing. The site looked really legit.
I just want to know, like, because maybe your credit card would just you put the number wrong.
It's very costly. My credit card is maxed out from DraftKings deposits, so it possibly was declined, but no. But seriously, she was not a robot Tinder girl. She looked legit. Like her first message was like, "I'm horny as fuck. Please, I need you right now." So like that seemed legit to me.
Because Divock gets those messages all the time.
I mean, that's a typical Tuesday for Divock. So basically she was really sorry about it. She was, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I want to, meet up. What are you doing tomorrow?" I'm like, "I got plans tomorrow." And basically I said, "Look, I think we should just move on from this debacle. Kind of move on like we moved on with Boogie Cousins, and we sent him over to the Pelicans. And we just bring over a new Buddy Hield, and we try to make a new relationship."
Well, I'm Shake and Bake here with Rain Man and a sullen Divock.
I'm not that sullen.
He's salty. Salty.
I am not that sullen. This girl, the reason why we are even talking about this is because we were going to talk about how you date girls who hate your favorite team. So the first thing, she texted me a couple days ago, and she said, "What are you doing?" And I say, I'm watching the Sox game, the White Sox game. Yes, people still watch those. And she says, "Oh, gross. Don't be a White Sox fan, please." And I was like, "Oh, well, I am."
Well, that was a red flag right there.
Right. I mean, what red flag? Yes, but like, I live in Chicago. I don't expect to date White Sox fans. I know they're probably gonna be Cubs fans because if they were White Sox fans, they would probably be ratchet and like addicted to meth and like have like neck tats. So I know I'm probably not gonna date a White Sox fan.
This is fair.
That's a general.
Sounds like you're looking for an Eagles fan.
I am not looking for an Eagles fan because that would. So I would just want to talk about like Shake and Bake. If you had a girl who wore Eagle pride, just hated the Crimson Tide.
As an Alabama fan, 9 out of 10 girls who like sports hate me, so it's fine. at least in this part of the world.
Right.
So, or they hate my alma mater, which is fine. And that's just, more power to me. I have I made actually a fun habit. When I first moved here, there was a run of a few ladies who I was dating a little bit and seeing, who were all LSU grads. And separately didn't know each other, totally random occurrence. And that was just great for me because they hated the fact that it was Alabama. But God, they just loved shake and bake. Couldn't get enough of it.
All right.
And there's nothing better than getting an LSU fan to say Roll Tide. So,
They said it?
They said that? Did they also eat grass?
That's the gimmick. You make them complain, they complain, and then you just sweet talk them into saying Roll Tide just once.
Did you ever say Go Tigers?
Fuck no. I have pride.
Did they shake and bake? Did they eat grass by any chance?
They did not eat grass, not that I saw at least.
Okay. Not that you saw.
So my story is how you date or talk to or facilitate a conversation with a attractive person of the opposite sex or same sex. It's 2017, nothing matters. Who dislikes your alma mater or went to your rival school or is a fan of your rival team starts with the Wednesday night before the Iron Bowl of 2014. So this is the season after the Kick Six. As we all know, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving is an evening for hitting the bar scene, especially if you're a single guy in a new city like I was. And I had an Alabama hat on. I was with a bunch of buds. We were dancing around, singing the tunes from the old country, things like that. And a young lady who was caught my eye walked by me and said, "War damn Eagle." Oh, wow.
No.
I wanted nothing to do with her until I walked back up to the bar and was getting another drink, and she came up and started talking to me. Talked. And I couldn't really believe that I kept talking to an Auburn fan, but all my friends were like, "Oh yeah, go, keep talking to her, dude, blah, blah, blah," as males do.
They do that.
And so I got her number, and let's just say before the end of that Saturday, which I had off from my job at the time, and so I could go and watch the Iron Bowl, she just said Roll Tide more than once that night. And we're going to leave it at that.
You got her to say Roll Tide. Wow.
I did.
Wow.
That's impressive.
I mean, most of the girls at Cornell were, well, I mean, to put this in perspective, there's no rival school for Cornell besides Harvard in hockey. And Harvard.
Well, it doesn't matter about school. It's team.
No. I know. I'm just saying because Alabama and Auburn is a cool rivalry. Cornell, Harvard is nerds.
Cool rivalry. It's a cool rivalry.
But
it's a good rivalry.
It is a good rivalry on the ice rink, but it's not in other sports. Anyway, but every girl, not every girl, but 50% of Cornell is from New York. So all of them were Giants fans and hated the Eagles. And I was one of 5 people in the entire school that liked the Eagles. So I just had to be the classic Eagles fan and just be obnoxious about it. And it worked.
Right.
It
worked for you.
It worked for me because that's just, I don't know. It's a Philly thing to do. There's just no other way around it. I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to say I like the Giants. The Giants suck.
Okay. So, I mean, one day, Rayman, I feel your story. One day, Rayman, you'll find a girl who has the same affinity for 3-point shooting statistics as you do. And they'll also have, a Ben McAdoo size 3-point statistic sheet. And they will.
That'll be our shared porn.
It will be because I know your last.
Whatever floats your boat.
I know your last girlfriend broke up with you because you stayed up late night watching Peja Stojakovic highlights. Because you told me that.
Yeah, she did.
She did. So that was really the breaking point. But there will be a point where there will be a point where you find a girl who will accept your love for staying up late and watching Peja Stojakovic 3-point highlights, and then calculating statistics.
Yeah, you have to. Peja was just like the 3-point. He is
about women, not Peja. Okay,
Peja could be a girl or a boy's name.
It could.
Can it?
I think
Paige?
so. I will name my first daughter. Wait for this. Will be named Peja.
Good luck with having a daughter. You're an outlier in that want.
I will have more kids than Phil Rivers. And
less than
Antonio Cromartie.
Good.
I will not
That's healthy.
do that. That will not happen.
Well, I mean, Antonio Cromartie is just like
he is super sperm.
It's unbelievable. Like I think like an OTP HJ would get someone pregnant.
What?
Right.
What was that? What was that an acronym?
Over the pants hand job.
OTPHJ. You've never heard that, Diva?
OTPHJ. I didn't know what he said. Over the pants hand job. Yeah, that I get that.
Well, speaking of something that was disappointing as a hand job, so Celtics and Cavs was really bad last night, huh? That was
right.
That was spectacular.
Who watched that? Raymond, you watched that game?
Of course I watched it.
You watched
Shake and Bake? About 10 minutes of it.
Right, I didn't watch a second of it.
So the worst part, honestly, was trying to watch Kelly Olynyk guard LeBron for most.
Oh my God, LeBron just toured with him. I watched that highlight 3 different times today, and it's just absurd.
Like,
Kelly Olynyk, he was really high on himself after his Game 7 outburst. So
yeah, and then LeBron drove right past him or drove into him, and he was unbelievable. He was like 9 for 11 at one point.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens when you play LeBron.
And the Cavs were just dominating. I mean, the Celtics couldn't get any punch. Isaiah Thomas was really contained. And there was one point where he tried to drive past LeBron, and LeBron was having none of it. And he self-passed. Like, it was bad.
I mean, there was the classic, like the forearm to the face that Isaiah tried to go up on LeBron and try to stop him, and it was like a Jeff Van Gundy going up against Alonzo Mourning type of shit.
It just Now, after the Game 7, I kind of expected the Cavs to win the first game pretty handily, but I don't even know if I thought it was going to be that ugly. I mean, all you need to look at the box score and realize that game just had nothing going for the Celtics. No. And we've said it over and over and over on this program. It's going to be Cavs Warriors. Awesome, sick. But just can anyone make a game out of it before these two, the Titans of the NBA clash? Like, someone give me a game. Make a game out of it, please. Please.
With the way LeBron's playing, and, Kevin Love kind of faded into the Raptors series. I think Tyronn Lue said, he kind of gave Serge Ibaka too much respect and didn't let Kevin Love play that well. Kevin Love, last time I checked, I know he scored
6 of 9 from threes.
31 points.
He has a magic number.
He was 6 for 9 from 3-pointer. Like, he was on fire. And obviously LeBron is playing at LeBron level, like the best level we've seen. And he's destroying anyone in his path. And, it's ridiculous. I honestly don't think they can give them a game. Although there are some things that I was impressed with, like Jaylen Brown, who's really coming along on the Celtics. They really need bigger wing depth. And they need a true center because Tyler Zeller is their only true center, and he is not a good rim protector. And Al Horford.
We're not here to talk about Jaylen Brown and Tyler Zeller.
No. I was thinking, like, what would make the NBA great? So the Celtics had this first pick, right? What if they were like, hey, Bulls, you give us Jimmy Butler now for the playoffs? And what if they just were like, okay, we'll take the first pick. You get Jimmy Butler, and like he just comes in and just like, how would that would be great. It'd be like wrestling. Like they bring out Jimmy Butler from backstage with a steel chair, comes in and just out of nowhere, like halftime, he just comes in and bam, hits LeBron with the steel chair. That would be fantastic.
we'll come back to Jimmy Butler and the Celtics because there's something to that subject. But staying in the people who are currently participating in the NBA playoffs.
Okay.
Warriors interim coach Mike Brown almost got arrested on the way to Game 2 before his Warriors team slaughtered the Spurs the other day.
Tell me about this, Chicken Bake.
So, I think this is kind of hilarious, and especially because, as we talked about in previous weeks, I love the reaction of my getting used to stupid people therapy in the morning.
Okay.
When I'm listening to pardon my take, but listening to First Take and Undisputed and The Herd.
Right.
And so Mike Brown is in his SUV going to the game. He's following the Spurs bus, and he kind of shoots past the bus and is kind of in the express lane to try and get to the stadium. One cop tells him to pull over, and I think that Mike Brown thinks, oh, I'm the Mike Brown says, I'm the Warriors coach. I don't need to do that. And we're just on the way to the game, kind of going through the I guess what you would call like the secure checkpoint, the roadblock off to get to the game. And all these cops apparently just think that Mike Brown is just some dude trying to cut traffic to get to the game early.
Right.
And so apparently he finally gets pulled over. And, these cops are, license, registration, blah, blah, blah. And he just pulls out his phone, and the phone apparently is Greg Popovich calling him, saying, just laughing on the bus because now the bus is stopped because there are 5 cop cars around Mike Brown's SUV. And finally, the San Francisco police realized that, it's the interim head coach of the Warriors, or the current acting head coach of the Warriors. Oh, yeah, I guess he can go. And apparently Mike Brown and Greg Popovich are on the way to the game just laughing over the phone, which I think that's the funniest part. These two dudes are about to start screaming at each other on the court and, getting ready to do battle in the Western Conference Finals, and they're just having a laugh beforehand. And Mike Brown is known around the NBA as one of the NBA's really nice guys. So, that's kind of good to see. Mm-hmm. Every now and again, it's good to know that Greg Popovich has a human side. But,
really good guy. He's just curmudgeonly towards the press. Besides Craig Sager. Besides R.I.P. Craig Sager.
Yeah, but like there are so many different opinions. Some people were like, "This is hilarious because it's Mike Brown, and Mike Brown's been NBA head coach, and San Francisco police should know that's him." Ha ha ha! Glad that he didn't actually have to do any time beforehand. But all the way till like Shannon Sharp was made it a point, and Skip Bayless agreed, and I think Skip Bayless agreed just because Skip Bayless does anything in Skip Bayless's contract. It says he has to stir the pot.
Right. He's like a leprechaun.
Yeah, that Mike Brown is lucky that the cop didn't pull him over with a gun out, as he reached for a cell phone, like didn't just shoot him right there. I was like, okay, there's plenty wrong in our country with police brutality, but that's just like the wrong way to look at it, in my opinion.
Right. Well, Mike Brown is really the most anonymous person ever.
I don't disagree with that.
Not only he's just such an anonymous. His name, everything about Mike Brown is anonymous. He's just
his coaching record,
everything. He's just an anonymous person. Like he's just like a typical. Like you can imagine him working and I don't know, could be working the CTA. Mike Brown. I don't know. He's just anonymous.
Yeah. I think it's great that he had great humor about it and wasn't he was laughing and wasn't taking the whole thing seriously or wasn't upset or I'm Mike Brown, I'm the head coach of the Warriors, or I'm Mike Brown.
Well, he's not actually
coach. Yeah.
He's not actually head coach.
I know.
Interim head coach.
Yeah.
Right. The interim to the head coach.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things where here's another way that people want to spin this into a race thing when it doesn't need to be a race thing.
Right.
It's just yes, there's plenty wrong with police brutality. That doesn't mean this was a race thing. Sure, is there some connotation there? Yeah, probably. But like you said, Divock, Mike Brown does not look like a basketball coach. Or he's not a notable basketball coach. Just because he's not. And he's never been the head coach of the Warriors until now. So
Right. And they're not even, they haven't been Warriors fans for that long. I mean, those police officers.
Oh, so yeah. True.
So
actually, that's not
Max.
The actual Warriors fans in San Francisco have been loyal for a long time.
Well, I'm gonna assume
they've had great
There's-
fans for a long time.
Right.
before those
There's a
third
strong
round.
possibility that those
If
Those
they
police
don't
officers.
remember the number 8 seed upsetting the number 1 Mavericks,
right.
you're Dirk Nowitzki
Baron Davis done.
MVP, they're not fans.
Yeah, that's
Baron
like
Davis done.
for the people in our part of the world here.
Yeah.
So what else has been going on besides the Warriors just absolutely unloading on the Spurs last game is the Zaza play.
Yep.
Dirty or not. I mean, the thing about Zaza Pachulia is that he is an expert in making dirty plays look not dirty.
Right.
So he wasn't looking at Kawhi Leonard. He was not looking at Kawhi Leonard when Kawhi stepped on his foot.
But like, if you watch the play, two things. One, I think it was a dirty play, and I think because one, the momentum wasn't carrying him. He wasn't closing out. He was shuffling. He could have stopped, and he went underneath it. But the funny thing to me is that Greg Popovich compared it to manslaughter. Like he said, I don't care about intent. If you text while you're driving and you kill someone.
Rayman, I agree with that, but the analogy is sound, but B, yes.
Crazy.
I agree.
Manslaughter?
I mean, Kawhi Leonard didn't play a game. He did die for a game, technically. Huh.
He did.
Anyway, but
and they were up 25.
The analogy is correct. It's an aggressive analogy, but Greg Popovich is an aggressive person.
Yeah.
I just simply think that, yes, Zaza Pachulia has made a recently at least has made a living off just being an overtly physical player who takes it over the top and ends up making a lot of dirty plays. And that's the only way he's going to make it.
Nothing easy.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. What do we got
There was
next?
also a lawsuit against Zaza Pachulia from a Spurs fan.
There is.
Yeah. Next. What do we got next? What's next on the docket?
I believe, Divock, this is actually your neck of the woods. There was a little streak and Beat the Streak broken.
There was. So Beat the Streak, if you're not familiar, on MLB.com, it's been going on for at least a decade, I'd probably say. And no one has ever won this contest. So if you pick a player every day, you can pick the same player every day, different players, doesn't matter. You can pick either one or two players. So if you pick one player, if you pick two players, they both need to get a hit on that day. So basically, if you do it 57 straight days to break Joe DiMaggio's record, you will win $5.6 million, which is quite a bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy a couple pairs of Lonzo ball shoes with that. So
Which is what
just a couple pairs. So this guy, I mean, the closest that has been in recent memory has been low 50s that I can remember. But this guy got to 51, and he had and you would think this is like some like nerd, like stat, like sabermetrics guy. Is this like a straight gangster from like New Orleans with like dreadlocks and everything? Like he showed a picture of him, like straight, just like.
How do you know he's not a stats nerd?
He didn't look like a stats nerd, Brady, man. He didn't look like you. You have dreadlocks. Have you grown dreadlocks that I didn't know about yet? He looked like this guy. He obviously had no regard because this guy was doubling down every single day, even at 51.
Balls.
He doubled down at 51.
Bold.
He picked. You ready for this one? Who we picked? Bartolo Colon is on the mound for the Braves, who has been getting shelled this year. If you haven't noticed. Bartolo Colon's on the mound. He picked Kevin Pillar, who's been in news lately for his use of rather insensitive language. And his second pick on the Blue Jays, there's a lot of people you could have picked on the Blue Jays. The second hitter, Ezekiel Carrera. You're going to put a 51-game streak on Ezekiel Carrera? Rayman, do you even know who Ezekiel Carrera is? You don't. You have no idea who that is. Shake and Bake, you probably barely know who that is.
Just enough. Just enough that I recognized the name when we were planning the show.
Right. Like, I know him because he's like, we have him in our AL-only fantasy baseball league with like 1 million roster spots.
That's really surprising.
So that's why I know. And he lost. Ezekiel Carrera did not get a hit. So he lost to 51.
Really?
Right, really.
No.
So
this would be such a happier story if Carrera did get a hit, but that would also then cause that person to wake up from a dream and realize that that's not reality.
That
was
is
never gonna happen.
Carrera did not get a hit. And So what I say is, how would you feel waking up the next morning knowing you were potentially 3 days away from winning $5.6 million and you fucking blew it? Picking not even a second-rate player, a like third, fourth-rate player. Like I could go down picking Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, or Jose Altuve. I can go down with those guys. Ezekiel Carrera.
Nope. I would toss and turn until I had basically drilled or dug a hole in my mattress with all the tossing and turning I'd be doing. I would be so mad. So mad.
Ezekiel Carrera.
I think the worst. I know that's obviously a huge deal, and picking that a long time in a row is a really big. But I'd be more kicking myself for not allowing my bet with Leicester City winning the Barclays League last year ride, because the guy bought out early and he would have won like $50 million. Instead, he settled for like $250,000. I would be pissed.
Yeah, but he's getting some compensation though. That's a lot
true.
of money. I mean, it's not $50 million, but this guy's going to get probably a $10,000 compensation for having the longest streak of the season, compared to $5.6 million.
And that's maybe if someone gets to 52, but yeah.
I mean, I'm at a 2-game streak, so who's to say?
Hey.
But,
Maybe that's small circle. I haven't played Beat the Streak in a couple of years. Maybe I'll pick that back up.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, but he's still doubling down at 51. That's
why not?
I'm gonna join Beat the Streak, and we're gonna have a contest to see who.
I'll smell a wager.
One of us are gonna be 5.6 millionaires.
Okay.
Seems like it's a given. Like there's nothing in the world that can stop us.
There's nothing. We should all just combine our streaks and see if we can beat it.
Oh, the Schmo streak.
There it is.
Birth of a new blog section. Here we are.
The Schmo streak. Woo. Okay.
All right.
So that was, I wanted to bring that up because that was something that caught my eye.
It was, and something that's speaking of. Well, this is nothing. I'm trying to make an analogy with balls here. That's moving on to ping pong balls. That takes us back in the NBA with the NBA lottery, but fuck that.
Right.
So the NBA lottery happened the other night, and the Celtics and the Lakers have the top 2 picks, all but guaranteeing that Lonzo Ball will become a Los Angeles Laker.
Right. Yeah, did you see he's only working out for the Lakers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Why would he work out for anyone else?
Letting him work out for the Lakers.
But that's such an outdated view of marketing and what it takes, because you can get a marketing deal. Oh, wait, LeVar pissed off every major endorsement brand.
Doesn't matter. See that? So
and he pissed off Colin Cowherd and Chris.
I was about to say so let's touch on the Colin Cowherd thing, because I was listening to that live and I was like, oh my god, he took more than one shot at Christine Leahy, Colin Cowherd's co-host, who is actually really, really good on the show. She's actually fantastic. And he was just like, he told her to stay in her lane. I don't need to market the
She's a Chicago girl.
Yeah.
Chicago
girl. And she is gorgeous.
She is gorgeous. But I don't listen to either.
She's quite gorgeous.
He was just absolutely so rude and offensive. And that is way worse than anything he's done or said to Nike or any of the other big brands out there.
Absolutely, but I don't.
The other stuff is erroneous. That is how you kill a marketing campaign, by verbally abusing someone with that much broadcast reach power. And while Christine Leahy obviously isn't the face of the show, or she's not the voice of the show, she might be the face of the show, because a lot of people would rather look at her face than Colin Cowherd. So
she better be the face of the show.
Yeah. So that did a lot more damage for me to LeVar Ball's image and possibly Big Baller Brand's image than anything he said in the past leading up to then. Other than that, here we are once again talking about LeVar Ball and Big Baller Brand and Lonzo Ball. But let's move on to Lonzo, because I'm way more worried about that at the moment. And that's way more top of mind because the Celtics have the number 1 pick. And everyone assumes they're going Markelle Fultz, making Lonzo a Laker. And I think Lonzo will be a spectacular fit with the Lakers the more that I think about it. That's his best track to being a superstar in the NBA currently, barring 1 or 2 things. And those 1 or 2 things are when and or if and or when, and I think it should be when, the Celtics trade the first pick for a legitimate player who can actually help them beat LeBron James next season, will that team want a point guard that's more in Lonzo Ball's mold, who's more pass first, offense second, or a guy like Markelle Fultz, who's a scorer, maybe dishes out 5 or 6 assists a game?
There remains to be seen.
Depends who they trade him to.
So
Yeah,
my theory and we touched on this the other week on another one of our lovely editions of the Schmo Table, that I don't see how Gordon Hayward makes the Celtics better if he ends up signing with the Celtics. I don't see it. Gordon Hayward on the Celtics, as good a fit as it is, doesn't help them beat LeBron James because Gordon Hayward can't guard LeBron James.
Right.
What does help the Celtics is signing Gordon Hayward to that big deal. Whatever that big deal might be, max or no max. Or I guess no, he can't be signed to a max deal.
He did make all NBA team, so so him and Paul George are ineligible for the mega max.
Cool. So you go to Boston on a star discount to a degree. Do you know who would really like that number 1 pick? Who would really, really like that number 1 pick and maybe one of your other 2 expendable assets? The Chicago Bulls.
They would like that pick. Markelle Fultz in the Windy City.
The Jimmy Butler thing to Boston has been real for a while.
Yep.
Chicago is in limbo.
It should have already happened, to be honest.
It should have already happened, but here's a better opportunity now that they're locked into the number 1 pick for the Bulls, to get another potentially transcendent point guard, since Derrick Rose just didn't work out. Let's call it what it is. Derrick Rose didn't work out. You can get another explosive, exciting, potentially franchise starting, franchise building piece point guard in Markelle Fultz.
Yep.
To be in Bulls red, and you just have to go Jimmy Butler, and you'll get something else back besides just that first pick. Maybe you get another pick.
Yeah, I would be hoping Marcus. I'd be hoping Marcus Smart.
There's no way you're getting the first pick and Marcus Smart. You'd probably get like Avery Bradley and Jonas.
No, I think Avery Bradley is a more important piece than Marcus Smart.
I do not.
I think
absolutely. I think Avery Bradley's defense and his ability to play offense is way more important than Marcus Smart's defense, which is excellent. And that's not a slight at Marcus Smart. That's just a credit to Avery Bradley.
I think Marcus Smart's more.
Marcus Smart is younger, and he's developing, and he's continuing to develop. And
hey, do you know what doesn't beat LeBron James? Developing point guards who can't shoot.
You don't need him. You need him to be a pass first, and besides,
and do you know who?
I think
Bradley can pass as well as Marcus Smart.
I think the Celtics value Marcus Smart more than they value Avery Bradley.
That's what I think. That's what I think.
I agree.
I agree. I think Avery Bradley is way more important. Then, especially if you can bring Avery Bradley off the bench as your 6th man, he becomes one of the best 6 men in the NBA.
When Avery Bradley was injured, the Celtics didn't really miss a beat.
Yeah.
No, but the Celtics also thrive off the fact that they're a deep team. And this isn't about missing a beat in the regular season. These trades, these signings are about beating LeBron James.
I mean, honestly,
I think if we're talking about 2 combo guards who are expendable, I'm probably keeping Avery Bradley, who's better on both ends of the floor, and trading Marcus Smart. Avery Bradley is a way better 2-way player than Marcus Smart is. Marcus Smart might be a little bit stronger, maybe a little bit more upside as far as the 2-way goes, but it's not a big enough difference for me to want to give up Avery Bradley over Marcus Smart, who still can't shoot and still isn't a great passer.
I mean, yeah, it's your choice. I honestly think that the Celtics need a Paul George or another 3.
We already know Paul George can't beat LeBron James. Paul George had his number 1 team and couldn't beat LeBron James. I think Jimmy Butler, who is a far superior defender at this point and is a much better 2-way player at this point in his career, plus Gordon Hayward equals potential to beat LeBron James way more than Paul George does. And I think Paul George wants to go to LA anyway.
I think he does too, but I'm saying if the Pacers were going to trade him, I honestly think they need a 3 or a 4 more than they need more guards. And Jimmy Butler
can play 3 in a small lineup.
He can. He can play a small ball three, but then you're gonna.
Jimmy Butler's by far the best fit for the Celtics. It's not even close.
I agree.
Paul George, what has Paul George done? Please explain to me what Paul George has done.
A lot.
Paul George hasn't done.
LeBron.
He's got a great skill set. I had an argument with someone about, who would they take, of Kyrie Irving or Paul George?
Oh, I would take
DeMar DeRozan. It's not even close. Kyrie Irving to me is maybe the second best player in the East. Maybe.
Are you?
Maybe. I mean, I could. You can make a case for it. I mean,
no.
Irving, Kyrie over Wall. I'd take Kyrie over Wall.
No.
Yes.
What has John Wall done in his career?
What has John Wall done? Please.
Okay.
Kyrie Irving won the Cavs a championship last year.
No, he did.
Yes,
he did.
No.
Yes, he did.
No.
LeBron's block
hit the shot that won it for him.
Without Kyrie Irving, the Cavs do not win the championship last year.
Without John Wall, they don't even make it past the first round. Besides the fact that John Wall is a much better two-way player, a much better a much better passer than Kyrie.
Cool. Kyrie doesn't even need to be that good a passer. Why? Yeah. LeBron James. Why? 3-point shooters everywhere. He just has to drive and dish here and there.
I mean, I think the argument is
more all-around player who's bigger, who can defend, who's not a liability on the defensive side. Don't give me the Kyrie can't guard anyone.
Neither can anyone on the Cavs, so we'll never really know. But I mean, John Wall couldn't guard a guard that was 6 inches shorter than him. Isaiah Thomas.
I think your best case for I think your best case for the second best player would be Giannis.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think overall, because most upside in his just mobility, the control over his body at the young age. You could just see him improving every single year.
He will.
And Kyrie, I think Kyrie's a top 5 player in the East.
Yeah, he's a top 5. He's not top 2.
I mean, I think you make a case for Giannis. I'd say Wall, Kyrie, Giannis, LeBron, and Butler. I think are your top 5.
Yeah,
in the East.
I'm not mad.
I can make an argument for Paul George, but I won't.
Nope.
Yeah, George and DeRozan are on the outside. I think maybe 6 and 7.
I mean, honestly, they could be top 5 too if you really want.
Well,
I would not say
this can be our fodder for in between finals games. Let's say
there you go. That is good fodder. That is good.
Let's not burn the fodder while we have it. But anyway, back to the original point. I think the Celtics are here, have a phenomenal opportunity with all the events that happened in the past couple of days to sign 2 elite wings in the NBA, and Gordon Hayward and Jimmy Butler, or acquire them, I should say, instead of sign. And actually make a run at this whole being LeBron James thing, because otherwise they're not going to do it. If you watch the other night's game,
another thing you have to look at is whether it makes sense salary cap wise, because the cap's not rising as much as it was projected to originally.
Figure it out. Gordon Hayward wants to win, and I bet Brad Stevens can convince Gordon Hayward to come at some slight discount, knowing he'll get paid down the line, especially when Al Horford's off the books.
Yeah,
I don't think that's an egregious ask, especially if Gordon Hayward then becomes the fit. Gordon Hayward and Jimmy Butler and Isaiah Thomas become their own big 3. If Isaiah is even on the Celtics by that point, since he's a little bit older as well.
Yeah, I think the Celtics will need a big 3, a true big 3. And Al Horford, I don't think Al Horford is part of the big 3.
Al Horford could be if Al Horford is your 4th to a big 3, you've done very well.
Yeah,
Al Horford, I think Jimmy Butler, Gordon Hayward, and Isaiah Thomas, plus all the great role players that that's the Celtics' only shot at being the Cavs at any point, is the fact that this roster is deep and they want to play for the Celtics.
Yeah, I think that's your best shot right there.
And honestly, if you have to give up. So you give up the number 1 pick to get Butler. If you have to give up a Marcus Smart or a Jaylen Brown, fuck yeah, get rid of those guys. Absolutely.
Jaylen Brown, definitely.
I would get rid of first pick in Jaylen Brown, but I don't think that would be enough to entice Chicago to give up Jimmy Butler.
I mean, if I were the Celtics, I'd get rid of the first pick. I'd get rid of Jaylen Brown. I'd get rid of Avery Bradley if that takes to get Butler, and then you sign Gordon, and then you sign Gordon Hayward. You have Marcus Smart off the bench. You have Olynyk off the bench, and you got Horford still, and
Jonas Jerebko.
And Jonas Jerebko.
No, sure.
It's not a bad. Oh, Jay Crowder and Rozier. So,
yeah.
There you go.
I can't imagine Jimmy Butler, Gordon Hayward, Isaiah Thomas, and Isaiah then not having to shoulder the entire offensive load, which he does many, many nights with the Celtics, would be massive for them. And if there's currently a coach in the NBA who can make all that work, all these guys who are all good passers, all good shooters, all three guys who have come from systems where they were the guy to take the shot, kind of thing. As we've seen, we saw the Cavs struggle with it for a while. We saw the Heat with LeBron struggle with it. We've seen the Warriors struggle with it this year, early in the year. If there's one coach that I really trust to kind of nullify that, I need the ball in the last couple seconds, it's a guy like Brad Stevens, who basically runs a college system in the NBA to an elite level and is able to win with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right there. Yeah, it's the best shot you got.
Yep.
And I like that idea. I didn't really think about it before this.
And Diva, don't act like you'd be mad if you had Markelle Fultz and Jaylen Brown to build the Bulls' future around. You could.
I think they should trade Butler during the season. I mean, it's
with young Bobby Portis to help build around too.
Yeah, we're young by and Nico Mirotic.
Yeah.
No.
Do worse.
And Fred Hoiberg.
Oh wait, Cameron Payne.
Cameron Payne and Hoiberg and Payne and Rondo and Wade. And Rondo's coming back and Wade's coming back and what a good time to be a Bulls fan.
What a time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't trust Paxson and Foreman do the right thing anyway, so I hardly expect that Butler. I mean, it's nothing against Butler. I mean, but it gets to the point where you just have to say go into rebuild mode, kind of like what the White Sox did this year. With another Reinsdorf owned team, finally accepted they have to go into rebuild mode and that they'll suck this year. And
ladies and gents, he's in a dark hole. We're just gonna have to cut him off.
We're gonna have to cut him off. They start talking about the White Sox. It's all over.
2, 1. Good night.